right now we're getting the Andy Anderson fans, and we're getting the Bliss fans.
That's right.
Tuning
Combining our tribes.
Hell yes.
For this beautiful moment in history.
David Brent, let's do it.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
welcome, my man.
Brother, it's a long time coming. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm stoked to be here.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
today, man, there's so many things I want to talk about. And as you know, I love peak performance. I love personal development. I love the grind and achieving and the whole mindset behind it all, right?
Yep.
So I want to talk to you about the ins and outs of how you've achieved what you've achieved. So
Yep.
again, you're the head of Bliss and Esso. You've created this incredible personal brand as well as
Yep.
this phenomenal band,
Mm-hmm.
which tours the globe, does some amazing things. But it's so easy to look at people like you and where you've come from and just see the good things.
Yeah.
I also want to talk about the grind and the
heartache,
challenges,
the
the
blood, sweat, and
heartache, man.
tears.
Because that's what it's about. I think that's the value we can add to everyone watching right now.
Yeah.
Is that it takes a lot more than simply having a dream to achieve success.
Like anything in life, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the start. Tell us about how did you, where did your passion for music and I guess this sort of natural drive come from?
Man, so I grew up in the States, right? D.C., just outside of D.C., in a place called Alexandria, Virginia.
Yeah.
Obviously, growing up in America, very kind of hip-hop orientated world, especially as a kid, especially at school. Like, rap was the shit. You know what I mean? We can swear on this?
Yeah,
cool.
swear.
Rap was the shit. It was
Amen.
just, like, everywhere. And it was all over the radio, you know. It was kind of immersed in that culture, and I just fell in love with it, man. I just thought it was like the modern day Shakespeare shit. Like, I was like, man, this is like new age poetry over beats. It's like fresh as hell. So my whole, there's elements of the hip hop culture, right? There's graffiti, breakdancing, DJing, rapping. My first element was beatboxing. So I used to mimic the radio and like do, beatbox. That was what I used to do. And when I came over, my folks decided to relocate in Australia. So they moved the whole family over. First day of high school, I met Esso. And suddenly I'm thrust into this totally foreign land, Australia, right?
Yeah.
Hip hop does not exist here, especially local hip hop.
Yeah, it's so true.
It was very pop and rock dominated. This was before the internet. This was like around CD stores. You know what I mean? You go into a CD store, you'd be lucky to find an urban release like a Ice Cube record or a Public Enemy record, let alone an urban section, right? It was just no such thing. So first day of high school, I rocked up.
Yeah.
He just happened to be the only other guy in the whole damn school that knew what hip hop was and loved hip hop.
Yeah.
So we just became friends, and it was a really weird chemistry because he was the coolest kid. He's super charismatic, super funny.
Yeah.
Everyone loved him, and I was kind of like the nerd. I was like the uncool kid, but the bond of hip hop brought us together, and it was a uncommon kind of bond in a relationship, but it formed through music, and that's basically how I met Esso.
Wow, there you go. It's amazing. And I love that story. And I just want to touch on that point. I love, and you're so true, back then there was no big brand around hip hop or Australian hip hop.
Yeah.
You're right. It was all rock. It was all heavy metal. It was all the emo scene
That's
and
right.
the punk scene.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing I want to touch on. You guys were grinding it out. So you started off as friends. It became a hobby, a passion. You knew that you obviously had something a bit special that you could take forward.
Yeah.
And then you started to do shows, I assume.
Yeah. So it was a very gradual build, right? So the way we started was we used to record on cassette tapes. Now this is back in the day, showing a little bit of my age here, but we had it was no tutorials like go online and like look up how do you make a hip hop beat or how do you make a song, how do you record a song. There's nothing, right? There's no sources of knowledge, especially in this culture that didn't really exist, let alone a local scene. Yeah. So we had to figure it out ourselves. And what we used to do is we used to get the old boom boxes with the cassette tapes. Yeah. And we used to, and if I don't know if you remember, but if you pressed record on that boombox, the speaker would become a microphone.
Yeah, right.
And you could talk into the speaker and it would record you on tape.
Yeah.
So what we used to do is we used to go to like all the markets where they used to have the CDs, like the racks and tables of CDs. And we used to scour the markets for any kind of hip hop single we could find because on the single CDs, they had the instrumental, the beat. Right, and we would find, and it would take days and hours of sifting through this because it was fuck all hip hop in the country, right? But we would find these rare CDs of just like whatever Ghetto Boys, like Ice Cube, whatever, and it would have this instrumental. So we used to take two boom boxes. One boom box, we'd play the CD instrumental. Then the other boombox, we would record through the mic onto cassette. So the beat would be playing.
Yeah.
Our face would be in the middle. We'd rap. Yeah. And then it would go to cassette tape with the beat in our rap. It was a primitive way of recording, but that was how we made our first songs. Yeah. And then to do the overdubs, we take that cassette out, put it in the first boombox, play that, and then rap on top of that to overdub it. And the sound quality would obviously just get shitter and shitter.
Yeah.
But that was how we made it. We had a whole album on cassette, like that we made that way. So that's how we started. And you can imagine, man, being white and rapping in Australia. Are you fucking kidding me? People talk about having hard to reach dreams. Yeah. That's a fucking hard to reach dream.
Absolutely.
You gotta imagine this is like mid-90s, man.
Yeah.
Like no Eminem. There's no cool white rapper. Yeah. All you got is Vanilla Ice. It's whack. Right? So like, I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone knows Ice Ice Baby. It's a classic, but like, there was no really cool rappers. There was Third Base, and there was Snow, and there was a few other people doing their thing, but there was no like icon. It was a very black dominated culture. You know what I mean? It's that's where it's come from. So to be white and to rap in Australia was a joke. We used to get ridiculed like a motherfucker. Like we'd rap at the bus stop. We would make music, and like people would just laugh at us. But we didn't care because it's a passion. You know what I mean? And when you're having fun, it's all about just doing what you love, and we didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? So we're almost blinded by just having fun and
blinded by passion.
Yeah, and blinded by passion. And like I always thought, and I've thought about this recently. I think the reason why I was crazy enough to think it would work is because I came from this culture in America, and I saw the opportunity to create something here. Yeah. And I thought, you know what? Like, no one's doing this shit. I mean, there were artists, but so few, and there was no link. The only way we would find out about these people was like there was one hip hop shop in the city, and you have to go there, and there was street press. It was like that's how you'd find it. And an artist might have like little cassettes or whatever, and then you find there is a little local scene or whatever. But I just saw it was a niche, man. I was man, if we just do this, we could build something, you know. Now that dream took years and years of grinding to realize. But that's how it all started, man.
Wow, man. Yeah. So just some teachable moments in that for everyone listening. I mean, the lengths and the dynamic mentality that you and Esso had to record your first albums and recordings and things like that, to go to the effort to scour for days to figure out the logistics of recording. These are little barriers that most people face when they're chasing their dreams, and they give up because it's too hard, right? Yeah. But of course, your passion, but not only that, you guys were motivated and had that dynamic mentality that you would see through the problems because the goal was greater than the difficulty,
right? That's right. Yeah.
So everyone listening, I mean, these are the points that I want everyone to learn from, because this is what makes true character and makes people successful.
Absolutely.
So I love also the grit that you guys had. Now, one thing that I know is so important in business and in success in general is having a vision, right? And like you just mentioned, initially, the vision of the Australian hip-hop scene was not there. You guys pioneered that, which is incredible. So hats off to you. Fucking high five.
Thank you,
here,
brother. Hell yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
But that's a huge endeavor, my man. And like, that's something that we shouldn't take for granted. And I also just want to touch on what that takes mentally and emotionally as a bit of a pioneer in this scene, in the Australian scene. It's hard to get noticed. It's hard to be successful. But on top of that, trying to prove to the world that this is actually a thing, 100%. It's another level. Tell me about that journey. Was there moments of self-doubt, moments of fear, moments where people obviously ridiculed you, didn't believe you? How did you beat that demon and persevere?
Man, just by having fun. It was just like it was we didn't give a shit. Like we just like, you don't get it. You don't get it. And we thought it was cool as hell. We thought, we were like, man, this is crazy. We're making rap songs, you know? And it came out of just us mimicking our favorite artists. That was, I'll tell you how the initial inception of Bliss and Esso started. One day, I came to school and I pretended to Esso that I wrote this rhyme, and it was like it was so whack. It was like a CNC Music Factory rhyme, right? Like from fucking, it was before like it was just like when Everybody Dance Now just hit a song. I can't remember the exact song. And it was a rapid fire rhyme, and I spit it perfect. And I was like, and Esso was like, oh, and I was like, yeah, man, I wrote that shit. He was like, oh, fuck off. And he was just like, this motherfucker done wrote a rhyme. So he went home that night, and he was like, fucking Johnny can fucking do it. I can do it. And he went and wrote a rhyme. And he came to school the next day. And he spit it to me. And I'm thinking, I lied to this motherfucker, and he's just wrote an actual rhyme.
Yeah.
I can fucking do it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I went home and wrote a real rhyme, and later I told him the first one was bullshit, so we kind of started off with a lie, which is
great.
hilarious, but it sparked us into it. And then we realized that we could do it ourselves, you know, and obviously, man, your first recordings are going to be terrible, right?
Exactly.
It
Absolutely.
took years to get good. It's like anything.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, at the time, we were having so much fun and just doing it, figuring out the way. Like, these days, kids are so lucky because they have the internet, they have all these amazing resources to learn, and just there's roadmaps everywhere. There was no roadmap, brother. We were in the bush without even a flashlight or a sword. Like, we were just bush bashing, trying to figure out how the hell to do it. There was no instruction manual how to make beats, what a beat machine was. Where do we get a beat machine? Like, what's sampling? What the fuck is sampling? What's quantized? Like, what are all these things? Like, we had to figure it out, and we were fumbling around in the dark for years trying to figure it out. And it took a long time of grinding, you know, like we eventually, you know, improved our recording slowly, got into studios, met people, like learned a little bit, constantly just clawing away at the knowledge, figuring it out. Then, like, we got our first opportunity from a band called Metabase and Breath to support them at a show because they had seen us like at a community center rapping, and they offered us our first support act. You know, it's like for free, our doors open. There's 10 people in the crowd. We're lucky to have that, but we killed it because we were like, we took the opportunity. We rehearsed for 3 months to a brick wall. Pretending the brick wall was the crowd for those 10 people. Like, we got everything down pat, like our back and forth rhyming, like we took it so seriously. And when we hit the stage, there was a promoter who saw us and was like, damn, man, who the fuck are these kids? You know what I mean? Like, because we took it seriously and we worked hard, we leveraged that first show to get our second show. He saw us and he offered us a second show, which was opening up for a bigger act, and so on. And it just kept snowballing like that. And we were able to leapfrog from one to the other. And then the next thing you know, we're in my little hatchback driving around the country, you know what I mean, with 4 people stuffed into it, like this tiny little Mazda Metro, like doing the hard yards, going to like little pubs and performing for 20, 30 people, but shaking every single person's hand after the thing. We made our first mixtape on CD, first Australian hip hop group to make a mixtape as a promotional tool. We were giving out for free. We were just spreading the music because we saw the music as the key to building the fan base, which of course it is. So every opportunity we just harnessed.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. So again, a few teachable moments in what you've just said. Number one, you know, when you're trying to achieve something, don't be a perfectionist because it's going to be shit initially. Like, everything's shit at the start, right? When you look back, you're in chapter 10 now and you look back to chapter 1, we're always embarrassed about our original work, but it's embracing that and just moving forward and appreciating it for what it is in the time, right? So you don't give up.
100%. And just to speak to that point really quickly, I still have on my daily goals that I have read to myself because it's like my programming for the day. One of them is exactly what you just said. It's don't let the fear of things not being perfect stop you from creating in the first place, because you'll figure it out. You'll fine tune it. Get the ideas down. Don't try and make it perfect straight away. 100%. And that's like anything. It's just like get started, because you'll figure it out as you go. It's not going to be perfect whatever you're doing in life. So the main thing is making a start. Otherwise you'll procrastinate and just say, I shoulda, coulda, did it, woulda, and they never do it.
Exactly. You should all over yourself. And this is what most people do, don't they? They just don't attack it because they're so paranoid about getting it perfect. The other point I want to touch on that you mentioned, it's consistency and belief. So consistency, you could not be where you are right now and be doing the crazy stuff that you do if you weren't consistent for the hard jobs for the first 5 years. 100%. Like, how long have you been in the game?
Man, 20 years plus now.
Yeah, see, like, people don't see that. People don't see 20 years of grinding. They think this is an overnight success when it never is, people. So again, that consistency. But one other point I just want to touch on is your relentless self-belief. Like, how important was you guys believing in this dream so much that, you know, facing adversity, facing the critics, facing the fucking failures.
You gotta have a mindset of there is no failure. You're going to succeed. You already have succeeded. You're walking the steps. That's got to be the mindset, because. And it's like, and to have that optimism, to have that continual optimism in your head and that positive thought is what drives you. You need that fuel, because there's so many times of just like hitting hurdles or slowing down or like, oh man, we missed that opportunity. It's like, nah, navigate. What's the next move? You know, you got to be nimble. You got to be on your feet. You got to be figuring it out. It's a game, and it's about how can you optimize all the facets of the game and get good at all the facets. It's not just about rapping good. It's not just about making beats. It's about every other part of it. That it's a full spectrum. So
it is.
And that's it's a challenge as well. It's a beautiful challenge because like if you can win it, then it's amazingly fulfilling.
Absolutely.
And it's not really about the money or the fame. It's about touching people through music.
Absolutely.
It's about sharing your story and being honest and being vulnerable and connecting with people. And that's the fulfilling part. That's what, at the end of the day, we talk about legacy. That's what you walk away with. And you're like, man, if I could help people through just me being honest and sharing my art, that's what it's about.
I love that. And then not to overwhelm people when they think about this process, but this is what makes, you know, what you do and what anyone who's really successful do so successful is that it's not just about being a great rapper and touching people with your music. If it was that simple, everyone would be fucking doing stadiums, right? But it's the logistics, it's the business side, it's the communication skills, 100%. The connections, the daily consistency,
it's the networking,
the belief systems. It's all of those things combined in a perfect momentum that creates what is Bliss and Esso and Bliss.
100%.
And so I think everyone needs to appreciate, but also look at themselves if they're on a journey similar to what we do. And look at those different facets and then sort of check in with that along the way as well, so they can craft their own success in 100%. The same manner. 100%. Now let's talk about some hard times, the nitty gritty stuff. You've had an amazing journey, 20 years doing what you do. You're at the top of the game in the Australian industry. Like you guys are the pioneers and dominate. Tell us, what's one of the most challenging events or things that you've experienced and how did you overcome that?
Man, so there's definitely been setbacks. There's been, times of bad times through our career. Every career has that. Every journey has that. There's been multiple, things. If you could talk about a lot of different things. But I think for me, even personally, right? I've been through dark times myself, falling into feeling depressed or like feeling not great. And people are like, man, you have everything you ever wanted. And how can that happen? But it can happen. It can happen to anyone. So to be able to pull yourself out of those moments is crucial. You know what I mean? And it comes down to a system, right? What we were talking before. For me, it's a holistic approach to happiness. And it's about all these things. It's about mindset. It's about goal setting. It's about surrounding yourself with the right circle of friends. It's about having passion of what you do. All those things, they all contribute. It's not just about just going after one thing. You got to think about it in a holistic way, right? I mean, specifically with Bliss and Esso, there's definitely been fans of us knows. I don't want to delve too deep into it because there's some really dark moments, but there was some bad times, and we're so blessed to have built a family of fans. It's not, I don't call it a fan base, it's a family because of our style of rapping, we don't bullshit about sex, money, drugs, rock and roll, fame, all that kind of stuff. All this, I don't know, it's whatever you want to call it. It's about real human emotion. It's about creating a story, giving your story, and it's about connecting. So that's why we have a family of people with tattoos all over them of our lyrics, because it means something to them, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to touch people in a way and become a part of their soundtrack to their lives, right? And because of that, they've stuck by us. Man,
it's crazy, isn't it?
Bands these days, fan bases are very fickle. There's so much music getting pumped out. Fans are on to the next thing. Oh, the next thing's out, and they drop fans real quick. We have had this longevity because we've built this family, and that comes down to the content within our music.
Yeah, it's so true.
Touching
so
people.
True. And I mean, I see it, man. Every time we go out, multiple times people are coming up to you saying, your music changed my life, or it helped me through this hard time. Or,
100%.
So people clearly just are invested and so connected to your vision and your story and the brand that represents.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And it's a beautiful thing because it's about we're honest and we believe everything we say, and it's so positive mentality that rubs off on the fan base and helps them in their life, and that's fulfilling. That's a beautiful thing. And even being, like I said, being vulnerable about the bad times as well, being honest about it. That's a big thing too, man. I've had some of my most acclaimed or most revered work, or just connecting with people via sharing the bad times too, because that's where people relate and go, man,
it's so important.
Dude, when you told us story about you breaking up with your girl or whatever, and you were in that bad place, I was in the same shit. You know what I mean? And hearing how you got out of that, that's amazing. So that's the beauty about music. I feel so blessed to be able to do what I do because it's basically just channeling my life through art. That's what it is. I get to just put my story into beautiful pieces of art that are gonna last forever, and they're gonna live forever.
Yeah.
So that's and just the fact that I do that, man. I wake up every day feeling blessed, and I'm so grateful. So it's a beautiful thing.
Look, man, it's huge, and it's also a huge responsibility, isn't it? And I want to touch on the impact that you have on people, because whether you like it or not, you're a leader, right? You're a leader of a tribe of people that look up to you and look at what you're doing. And what I love so many of your songs, how optimistic and positive they are. But we also know for you or for me or anyone that's successful, it's also, we have our dark moments and dark times, right? And I know you take that very seriously, the mental health side very seriously. You're doing a bunch of cool stuff at the moment on that, which is great.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about how you work on this? What are some of the things that you do right now to get yourself out of those darker times? We all face them, even when you're at the top, the middle, it doesn't matter where you are. How do you get yourself out of a bad state or a bad time to move forward?
Okay, so great question, and this is something I'm continually working on. Okay, because I don't ever want to feel like I know everything in life. Far from it. We always want to be learning. We always want to be learning, constantly growing and constantly evolving. So for me, it is a holistic approach. Like I was saying, it's a multifaceted thing, and it's building a system, right? First, I'm going to start on a few pillars that are very important. Health and fitness. Fitness and being physically healthy is a big part of it, right? Waking up early, getting like a morning routine, a morning ritual in place, right? That includes like a gratitude list that I write, this 5-minute journal, which is basically appreciating little things in your life to make sure you're not being blasé or being kind of taking things for granted. We have so much abundance in our lives that we should be grateful for. It's amazing. That's number one. Number two, goal setting. Huge, man. I got to know what I'm doing and know what I'm going after. Yeah. I don't want to be just blowing in the breeze, like working a 9 to 5 to go home and watch Netflix and eat ice cream. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong. People want to do that. A lot of people do. That's their life. They get caught in this cycle. I want to be working on bigger things because that's what gives me happiness. That's what gives me fulfillment. So for me, it's about setting up what are my short-term, my medium, and my long-term goals, right? So if I have a purpose and I know what I'm going after, then I've got a clear vision, right? So that's a big thing. Recently, I've learned the power of cutting out negative people in your life. You know, and not feeling guilty about it. Fuck you. Like, I'll be there. Like, you're my friend or whatever. You need me, I'm there for you, man. But I don't want to be around continual negative people that are just like, my friends, like, I got the best circle of friends. You know, you're part of that. You know, we got the Kings. It's like, man, I want my friends to be big upping everything I do like I do for them. You know what I mean? Like, being a support network, being positive. I don't like constant cutting people down, tall poppy syndrome, anything like that. Having a positive framework within your friends, and it doesn't matter. You don't need a big circle of friends. My circle of friends, my true friends, is pretty small, and I like it that way. And I can trust them completely, and we got each other's backs. That's a beautiful thing. So it's that. You know, I meditate now. And see, this is the mind blowing thing. For years, I used to look at meditation like this hippie thing. I was like, man, whatever, it's some hippie shit. Nah, man, meditation is like going to the gym for your mind. Yeah, absolutely. We talk about being physically fit. It's mentally fit. And what it is about, you know, we have all these influences in our lives, all these digital sources coming in all the time, whatever. Things are grabbing our attention. It's about controlling thoughts and understanding, like, we have a supercomputer up here. And the more we can master this little bad boy, the more effective and more happy we can be.
100%.
Yeah. So that learning about that and doing that as a daily practice has been extraordinary for my life.
I love that, man.
Yeah. So you know, so we've got a circle of friends. We got meditation, mindset, positive thinking. You know what I mean? Like being optimistic about the future, about what you can do. Being relentless. You know, going after it every day. You know what I mean? You know, all these things, they contribute to an overall sense of like, I'm on the right path, I'm doing it, and I'm happy along the way. You know, and you got to make sure you enjoy the journey. You know, it's not just about work. You got to have those moments of just like hanging out with buddies, going for dinner or whatever, and just kicking it. You know what I mean? So man, it's been a ride for me because, and I've learned I've learned along the way. I want to continue learning. And yeah, that's what it's all about.
I love that, man. There's so many teachable moments in that chunk right there. But I guess the bottom line is that, touching on the health and fitness side of things, if you want to be in the realm of peak performance, you've got to have energy, right? You need to have energy to get up, fight the good fight, face the fears, all that sort of stuff. And to get that energy and consistency in your mentality, those habits and rituals that you just described are so crucial. But you've got to be on it every day.
Yeah, you do.
It's not one of those things you can just do once a year or, you know, it's a daily thing.
It's a system and it's a lifestyle. It has to be, because otherwise you fall into these, you can fall into a bad cycle, which I have, and I'm sure a lot of people out there have as well, whether it's, you know, you're not exercising, you're eating bad diet, drugs and alcohol, massive part if you're partying a lot.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, all these things can lead into mental health as well, and then how you're feeling about yourself, and then it contributes to your motivation and what you're doing, and then next thing you know, you're kind of down in the dumps and you don't know how, right? And so, like, recognizing that all these things play a part into your overall well-being and happiness is crucial. And it sounds really simple, but it comes down to these things. If you employ these methods, and I'm stoked to later on touch on a few things, because I have just read your book. Well, I've actually listened to it on Audible. Awesome book. A little plug out for Andy Anderson right there, The Ultimate You. Check it out. Awesome.
Thank you, my man.
And we're very on the same page on all this stuff. I was listening to it going, yep, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. But there were a few things in there that I don't currently do that we can bring in later on. But I want to ask you about those, because I think your audience and my audience would probably like really be into hearing about some of these things, like visualization and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Look, and I think that's so inspiring that you can teach and preach that message, like get the message out there about mental health and just knowing thyself so much better. Do you, a quick side note, do you believe or focus on, I think you do it unconsciously anyway, but do you consciously focus on manifestation? So seeing and then feeling that vision and moving into it.
We're going into number one I wanted to ask you about. Okay, cool. So one of the things in your book, like you talk about you having your vision board, or you're like putting up photos of what you want, like in the mirror, places you're going to see it, right? Places you're going to continually, it's going to trigger the thought, right? There was that side of it, which I don't currently do, but I've been thinking about doing that for years, and I kind of wish I did employ it, because, you know, sometimes it's good to have that external trigger. You know, it's one thing just to think about it, but if it's in your face all the time, you're going, oh, that's right, that's my mission, that's my mission, that's my mission. I do a slightly different way of doing it. I have my goal, like every morning I got my goals read. Siri reads me my goals, and I write very specific ones. And it's like mental programming for the day. Every morning I got my ritual. I get up, when I do exercise, I listen to that on doing my cardio, whatever. But the manifestation, the feeling and believing side, this is what I wanted to ask you about. So for you, I know you got your values down pat, but you've also got your vision, and you go what you want and what you see yourself becoming, or you have already achieved that. You're just walking the steps to get there, right? Tell me about that. Like, so for example, you could give me you want to be this person doing with these goals in the future, right? Do you envisage yourself already at that place, like with all those things around you? Like, how to explain that process of feeling it?
Yeah, so every day. So my core ritual, I actually just did a mini workshop with my team on this morning. But number one, it's vision board, and seeing and feeling your goals, macro and micro, 100%, and then words of affirmation and gratitude. And I plug through that ritual every single day. So I've got a vision board, again, purely to intensify the visual triggers, right? It's all about me connecting to that emotional state as fast as I can in the morning. So I wake up, I've got visions broken down in different categories of life. So you've got your categories like your financial category, relationships, business, success, career, health and fitness, other goals or milestones you might have. And I have visual representations of those things.
And what, can you describe, what are those visual representations look like?
So for example, everyone knows one of my big goals is to take my company public one day. So I've got one of my page or slides is of like Elon Musk taking his company public, and a few other sort of big brands taking their company
photos?
Public. They're photos.
They're photos. And is your vision board digital, or is it printed?
Both. I do, but mainly I've got it digital. Okay. So I've got it on slide, like a slide deck that I go over every morning. Okay.
And how long does that slide deck last for?
So it's a slide deck that will go for 5 to 10 slides, but man, you can have as long as short as you want.
Okay, and you feel it, and you look at it, and you absorb it, and you manifest it in your mind, and then you move on to the next slide.
That's right. So exactly. So I see it. And I just take a moment to close my eyes, and I go to that moment. So for example, me on the New York Stock Exchange taking my company public.
You're feeling it. Or this is what I want. This is the nitty gritty that we need to get through to people, because there's one thing saying it, where I want to talk about the specifics here. Okay.
So it's all about feeling it. You got to because emotionally, we are emotionally charged creatures. You can pretend you're not, but we are. And if you can feel that success before you achieve it, you're basically just replaying the movie of life beforehand. But the other important factor that I want to point out, a real logical thing about this, is that every day to get to that grand goal, you have to have uncomfortable conversations, early mornings, big conflicts and fights. Yeah, you may go into debt. You may have some business failings. All of it, right?
Failure is part of winning.
That's right, man. So for you to be tough enough, brave enough, hard enough to face that every day and still charge through, that vision and that feeling will trump any distraction every time. So if you can feel it at a high level, it'll be worth it. Every day, I'll fight the fight. Every day, no matter what, because I already feel and know where I'm going. I see it so clearly.
Okay, cool. Now, obviously, the vision board can be personal sometimes, so I don't want to dive into every single photo you got. But how many slides are we talking? Like 5 categories? How many categories?
Look, so you can do finances. So if you got like I call it the wheel of life. It's in the book as well. But you've got your finances, you've got your relationships, your holiday time, social time, your health and fitness goals. So any representation of those facets of your life, your career.
It's just photos, yeah? Is it a photo collage?
Photo collage.
It's a photo collage, okay. And how long, in each one, when you feel it and you look at it and you close your eyes, what are we talking? 2 minutes on each, 1 minute on each, 30 seconds on each? What
just short and sharp. Could be 10 seconds.
Could be 10 seconds and then you move on.
But sometimes if I've got a bit of time, I go deeper. If there's a real goal that I'm like, man, I need to get this done. I really want to achieve it. Like I need to put every bit of energetic momentum behind it. I might do like a meditation on that section, right? So yeah, man, it's one of those things that it can be as long or as short as you want it to be.
What's on average for you, would you say?
To tap into it?
To do your whole slideshow?
To do a whole slideshow could be 10 minutes max.
10 minutes, okay, cool. That's good. That's
very good.
Okay.
And then from there, I go into my goal setting. And I still do my vision with the goals. So I'll do my macro goals of like 20 years away.
And you read those?
I read those and I write them.
In the first person? Or you write them as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not every day though. Sometimes I just read.
It's hard.
But other times I write
timing.
as well.
Yeah.
And then if I've got the time, I'll write it. And then I do my now goals, like my 90-day goals or my today goals. And then I'll just take a moment to visually feel what that,
and see yourself achieving
see myself achieving it,
ticking the box,
and then I'm there, man. My state's there, my energy's there, and I'm not. This is the important thing about chasing your goals and just having blind faith. It's you're focused on what you want rather than what you don't want, because everyone's like, I don't want to be broke, I don't want to have problems, I don't want to shoot a relationship. They're always thinking about the negative rather than the positive. And it's a whole different energy system. And so that energy system is the winner's system. That's the loser's system. Scarcity, abundance. It's a whole different mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what I'm interested in is, sorry, I don't want to hijack.
Nah, man, dude, go, love it.
So I'm very interested in, we've talked about Tim Ferriss, right? He studies all these top achievers. He figures out the common bonds between them, and he draws conclusions about what's the most common threads that they all implement, right? So I'm very interested in specifically, can you describe from the moment you wake up, and I know not every morning is exactly the same, but on average, walk me through exactly the steps you take to win the morning, like all your steps, all the boxes you tick, exactly from waking up. What do you do? The first thing you do, what is it?
First thing I do, wake up. Shower, straight down to vision. So straight from there into vision board.
The vision board, which is the slideshow.
Slideshow. Okay. So slideshow, goals, gratitudes, and affirmations.
Okay.
Affirmations is like / your personal code.
So and that's
like,
you're saying it out loud in the first person in present tense,
Normally it's just in my head.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can read it out, and it comes down to how you're connecting with it. Because it's about, at the end of the day, it's about how you feel. It's a feeling. So if you need to read it out, and to feel it more, then read it. And if you can do it in your mind, then you just read in your mind. And so I just sit there and I read it, and I do my gratitudes, I read it, and I read my personal code. So I remember who I need to be, what I'm here to do, the fucking energy and mentality and nature I need to bring to the game, and then I be that.
Okay.
From there, I go into my workouts. So I either do cardio or like we did this morning, smash out a big weight session, then cardio.
And then cardio,
And then a clean breakfast, because breakfast sets you up for the day. And usually I'll have more fats and proteins. So it'll be normally some eggs and avocado. No carbs for me. And double espresso all the way. You gotta get jacked up. So I love the double espresso. Then I'm into just productivity. So schedule, diary. You and me did a bit of work on this before. Like Trello board, diary, schedule for the week. And then I'm into work. So that's my win the morning.
Do you meditate at all?
I do, but I usually in the morning, it's more the visualization meditation. So it's on the goals. And I used to do more of it. And to be honest, I haven't been doing a lot lately. But it's normally through those times of where I get hyper stressed, that
Yeah.
I'll then go back to that
Yeah.
as a foundational sort of grounding measure.
Yep.
But at the moment, it's more the visualization and meditation.
Yep. Do you do cold showers at all?
Yeah, I do, always.
So it's
Have for
always
years.
cold?
In the morning, always cold.
Yeah, okay.
Everyone who,
Yep.
like, from my past, I've been talking about this for years and years.
Yeah.
Cold showers just get you on, because it's about getting uncomfortable. Whoever can handle the most uncertainty and can be the most uncomfortable in life will win.
Yeah.
Always. So that's your first measure of being
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Embrace the uncomfortable with a cold shower, and it just kicks you off for the day.
Yep. Yeah.
Get you up as well.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. That's good. So that's Andy, Big Andy's morning. I love it.
That's my morning ritual,
Yeah,
brother.
that's
so,
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So again, I know that you do something similar, and
Very similar.
you know
Yeah.
the other boys that we hang out with, Big SQ, Big DK,
Yeah,
like we've all got our rituals that we follow, and
Yep.
and again, every really successful person that I know has a similar sort of thing.
Yeah.
They follow a ritual to ground them and
That's right.
focus.
Set
so
you
that-
up for the day. Yeah.
Otherwise, like you said before, you're going to be floating in the wind otherwise,
100%.
right?
Yeah. And also, it builds momentum. You tick the boxes, it charges you up. You're like, yep, got that done. Yep, got that done. Yep, got that done.
Yeah.
You know, another thing, a little thing I do is like make the bed first thing in the morning. It's a little win.
Yeah.
Just get it neat and tidy. I love having a clean environment around me, clean house, clean mind. Everything's put away in the right place.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So let me ask you, brother. You know, we charge heavily in our lives in what we do. I loved in the book you talked about. It's one thing I never had really considered. I always say time is our greatest asset, right? It is. But you said the second is energy, which is right. Energy is now. Towards the end of the day, for me, sometimes, man, I start getting like withering. You know what I mean? And I gotta chill out. Sometimes it's too much coffee, and you get the crash. But like, what are some of the things you do to keep your energy levels high, especially in the afternoon and nighttime, to keep you still productive?
Great. So, look, I believe that energy can be created. So, first of all, it's a belief system.
Yeah.
If you believe that energy only comes from enough sleep and food, you're fucked. Because if you don't have it, you're not going to get energy. So, I believe that energy first comes from your thoughts. It comes from movement and your state. It does come from your nutrition and what you drink as well, of
And
course.
sleep, yep.
Yeah, and then sleep. So they're like the 4 parameters that I play with. But in the morning, if I have a clean breakfast, obviously good sleep always helps. It's awesome.
100%.
But then you wake up and you move and think positively.
Yeah.
Think about this. If you're going to wake up and think about depressing stuff and then you don't work out, how do you think your day is going to be compared to someone who does this, goal setting, thinks about all the power of greatness and abundance, and then works out? Man, energy is elevated
100%.
instantly.
Yeah, 100%.
And then from there, the breakfast I have is crucial because it's good fats and keeps me going. And then I usually pace out my caffeine in the morning, which is obviously crucial for winners. And then after that in the afternoon, it's about my regular meals as well. So, you see my fridge.
I do.
It's just clean food, 5 meals a day.
Are you tracking?
And to track it, and so you make sure that you're on track with that. You keep them all paced at certain times. But it's making sure that it's not all done at one time. So you want to make sure that it's spread out correctly. And same with your caffeine, and same with like if you're having green smoothies or any drinks that you have to keep that little bump happening. You want it to be paced out. Now, afternoons always going to be a downer for people.
That's what I'm getting at.
So number 1, you could have some caffeine. Number 2, of course, a green smoothie is always powerful. So it's just like green veggies, apple, bit of fruit, because it gets you up. But it's also about then going into another ritual. So in my book, and I teach this in some of my courses, it's that you need to have certain rituals for certain times. So I've got another ritual that I go into, which is just state management, where I close my eyes and basically just get jacked up again, move the body, just get pumped up, and then you re-energize.
Is that on like some Tony Robbins shizzle? Like that?
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, he's the king of this, right? He's the king of this, and it's like in the morning he does priming, and then I do one in the afternoons, which just basically primes me to go into a meeting or a conference.
And what can you give me an example of what that's like?
So for me, it's an audio that I use.
Okay.
All right. So
a recorded
audio. So it's like an affirmation, right? So words will trigger emotional responses within you every time, right? And you're going to be talking to yourself all day anyway, so you might as well control that dialogue. So I've got certain words and affirmations that I use, and I've actually got a recording that I've had done. So then I listen to it when I need to.
Is it you talking?
No, it's not.
Okay.
I've got one of me.
Okay.
Oh, I can't pull it up right now.
Yeah.
I'll show you guys later on. But I've got one of me reading it out. I'll show you later. And I've also got one, this American dude who's just got this wicked voice, and he's done it as well. And so I listen to it, just close my eyes, listen to it, and I just do a Robbins thing. It's called the power move, where you just sort of move, get yourself pumped. And man, you just get energized.
And you're listening to words?
And I listen to words. So
okay, cool.
It's a double trigger.
I'm very, very eager to get this off you.
That's right, man.
Listen to it. Yeah, that's okay. So that's a big thing that I've learned today. Okay, I didn't know about that. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really, because my whole thing is as well. It's the energy can dip. And then if the energy dips, the focus can dip.
Yes.
And then also like just everything kind of goes a bit out the window in terms you were like hammering 3/4 of the day, and the last quarter is like, oh, I'm just so fucked. You're giving the temptations around you, like, oh, I need something sweet, or I want to lie down on the couch and watch TV, or whatever. Yeah. How do you stay strong with not giving into those little temptations? Is it about the second ritual?
It's about rituals, but it's also when you got to think about the behavioral mechanism behind that. Yeah. When you're reaching for that, you're trying to meet an emotional need, right? So it's like, I'm stressed, sugar or something will make me feel better in the moment. I'm tired or lonely, this will make me feel better in the moment, right? Yeah. So it's asking the question, okay, if I'm feeding that need or getting a state change via this mechanism, what's a better alternative, right? So is it a green smoothie? Is it a coffee? Yeah. Is it a ritual? Yeah. Is it that thing that's going to give me the emotional energy that I need? You got to swap it. So it's about resourceful choices and unresourceful choices. 100%. Do I take the drugs? Yeah. Or do I do the meditation?
Resourceful choices. That's the
resourceful
key word.
choices, man.
Absolutely,
so,
absolutely.
Because
and I loved in the book. Sorry to interrupt. I love in the book where you talked about giving yourself the resourceful rewards.
Absolutely.
So it's like you got to reward yourself for shit. Otherwise, we will grind ourselves into a pulp.
Right.
But making sure those rewards are actually contributing to your mission in life and happiness.
Exactly. Yeah. Because what do people do? I'm going to reward myself. I'm going to go out and get smash.
Yeah, exactly.
10-pack of pingers and alcohol, and they're off for a week, right? Yeah, and then that's a reward. Or I'm going to eat just shit food for the next 3-5 weeks because it's a reward. Like, we have these unresourceful rewards, which are instant gratification driven. You feel good in the moment, but mass consequences later, rather than having a selection of positive rewards that actually stack more greatness in your life, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a mindset shift, isn't it? But I think one point that we need to share and just reiterate on what we're talking about, energy and having that relentless mindset. It's a mindset. You just got to shift your thinking, and it's consistently. But also, don't feel bad, guys, if you're watching this and thinking, fuck, maybe we've got something different to everyone else. We don't. No. It's been built up over time.
Exactly. Yep. And you know what? I've certainly had my fair share of failing, and I'm sure you have too,
Absolutely.
brother. It's all part of it. And it's like nobody's perfect. We're figuring this out as we go.
Practice makes perfect.
Practice makes perfect, and it's about being relentless and not giving up. Not getting up.
Exactly.
Getting up again and again and again.
Yes.
The biggest people who had massive success in life have failed countless times.
They fail the most.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, this is why I love having conversations like this and talking about not only the good stuff, but the darker times. Like whenever I meet someone successful, I want to know, what was the most fucked up time in your life? What was the hardest time? Where have you gone bankrupt or failed? Or what did you lose out on? And how did you have so much self-belief and determination that you could come back from that? Yeah. That's inspiring. Yeah. Man. Because again, we're all going to face challenges in life, but it's the people that can face the most and keep going will always succeed the most.
Yeah, solution focused, not problem focused.
Always, 100%. Yeah. I love that, man. We could go for hours.
I know, man. It's great.
So, bro, I want to ask you another question. What advice would you have for all of the young, driven, ambitious people out there? Maybe they want to be the next hip hop star. Maybe they want to be in the music industry. Maybe they just want to be great. What are like the 3 tips, the 6 tips for Bliss? What are the 3 tips? What are the 3 tips from Bliss? Yeah.
Man, there's so many things. Like, we've covered so many things already that are so important. But for me, it's like a lot of people everybody's got great ideas. Having a great idea don't mean shit. Yeah. Take your idea and make it happen. Yeah. That's the difference, right? Now, making it happen is always almost incredibly difficult. If it's a good idea, because otherwise a million other people would have done it. So it's like it's about walking the walk, not talking the talk. You know what I mean? There's so many people. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Or I'm in the process of doing that. Cool, man. Just like do it.
Yeah,
do it. Stop talking about it and do it. And this is the thing. It's like you're gonna run into continual obstacles, and it's about the mindset, about how you get around them. You know what I mean? How, like, dude, like when I think back to what we have accomplished, and in the face of the adversity, like being white in Australia in the mid 90s, wanting to rap with no local scene. The fuck? That is like, it's like a paraplegic trying to climb Mount Everest. No shit. It is like, it's so, I look back on it and I go, we were crazy. But you kind of have to be a little crazy, and there's that amount of self-belief. There's an artist named Russ. He's a big rapper. I love him because he has taken everything into his own hands. He's a producer. He's a rapper. He's managed basically for a long time. Did everything hands on himself. He's the DIY pioneer. That's what he calls himself. But he's written a book recently where he talks about. You should check it out. Actually,
I'd love to.
Talks about his come up. And he talks about how he had always this insane belief that he was going to make it. And it was like, it was never a fucking question in his mind. And it wasn't like, I'm going to make it, blah, blah. He was like, I'm going to work my ass off. And he was grinding, like living in a basement for 10 years in New York City, freezing cold, making like 1 billion songs and putting them out for free on SoundCloud until he finally started getting momentum and he built this whole thing. But he studied the game. Like, he was like, he found the best. He was like, okay, who are these artists I look up to? Who are their lawyers? I'm going to get the same fucking lawyer. You know what I mean? I'm going to get who are the manager? Like, he studied the game. It's like, for me, it's about being smart. It's not just about working hard. It's about working smart. Like, it's so it's and it's like, for me, we were talking about it before. It's not just about rapping good or making good beats. It's like every facet. It's a game. And how can you be the best at all the facets and bring it all together? Because you need it all to work. You know, and the cool thing about it is everyone's different, and you can then draw in what are your passions within the game. So, for example, like, you know, I'm working on a few different projects outside of hip hop, but it all works into my career and Bliss and Esso's career and everything. And that's exciting when you can bring in other things you're passionate about that all revolve around it. And it's that whole, 360 approach.
Absolutely, man. 100%. I love that. And so true. You have to surround yourself with the right people. You have to study. You've got to be disciplined, and you got to play the long game. This isn't an overnight thing, no matter what anyone thinks. Like,
and don't get frustrated when it don't happen overnight, because it's not going to.
And have that blind faith. That blind faith that you are, it's your destiny. You're on track. You're on track, right? And I just need to touch on the other point that you said. We were just talking about vision, goal setting, manifestation, all crucial elements. But if you don't have the guts to freaking get up and do every day, don't even worry about any of that stuff. Like, that's the enhancement mechanism, right? But you have to be ready to go and put in the hours and put in the work. Like, even this amazing studio we're in right now, we're just having a chat about the effort that got put into building this out. Every 1%. You've got to have that mentality.
100%. 100%, bro.
I love that, brother. 2 more questions. You ready for this?
Absolutely.
All right. I love asking this question. So, man, where you are right now and everything that you've learned over the years, you know yourself so well, right? And I think knowing thyself is so important, and then having your own code and values to...
Did you ever read As a Man Thinketh?
No, I haven't read that.
No, anyway, you talked about some stuff that was super in there about like how, you know, like positive thoughts is like a garden and we grow it. But so anyway, that was a side. You said thy, and I was like, as a man thinketh, it just reminded me of that.
Okay. But similar vibe, man. Exactly that. And you have to know who you are, and I guess how to show up as that self-leader or leader every single day. Now, if you could go in a time machine and go back and talk to little Bliss, little John, and give yourself some advice on who you need to be, and some tips to help you just even more so intensify who you are. What would that be?
Okay, so the big thing for me is I was always good at being like, me and Esso were such a good combination at first because he was the super cool, charismatic guy everyone loved, talented as well, of course. And I was more the kind of brains of the background management, putting it together, figuring it out, like how are we actually going to make this work? And it worked really well. But in saying that, I was coming from the nerd point of view, right, at school. And he was a super cool kid. So I always had my own insecurities. And I had to bolster me the fuck up to rap and have the guts to do it. Weirdest thing is when I hit the stage for the first time, it came really natural. And it was almost like this alter ego persona of just like, I owned it. Fucking rap. But at the same time, it has taken me years to cultivate a feeling of like, I am so comfortable with who I am now and being an artist and not giving a fuck what anyone else thinks. It's taken years to get that. So what I would have told myself is, little Johnny, be yourself and don't give a fuck what nobody thinks. Because at the end of the day, you'll look back at these times and you'll be like, man, those little fears and insecurities probably held me back in so many points where I should have just excelled and gone for it. But it's daunting when you're especially coming from, and this goes out to all the nerds out there and the geeks and like the people who are not cool and the not in the not cool club, because this stems from school, man, and kids can be really harsh on each other, and it's a whole social environment and everything, and so to me, I would have told him just like, you're your own best friend, right? You got to love yourself. And I don't mean that in an egotistical way. I mean, you got to love yourself, man. Like it's me, myself, and I on this journey, and everyone that's what it is. Yeah, it is. And at the end of the day, you're the main person that's got to have your back. No one else. It's just like when we talked about going into the ditch, and no one's gonna pull. We got a song coming out soon. Like I can't spill the beans too much on it, but there's a line in it. The crux of the song is, "Ain't nobody gonna come to rescue me but me. Ain't nobody gonna pull me out the sea but me." And that's about having that having your own back, basically. So I would have told myself to just not be scared and to be myself and to realize that I'll find myself eventually. Just keep going for it. So and it's funny, man. Like, everyone in life is gonna probably think back and go, fuck, I probably could have done that quicker. I could have done this, or I could have made that move, or whatever. In hindsight, if only I knew that. Man, that's all part of it. And you can't regret that shit because it's all built you up to be the man or the woman you are today, right? So it's all about moving forward. That's all past. You can't change that shit, right? So don't ever dwell on it, and don't get yourself all, oh man, I should have done this or whatever. No. You are now the person you are. Thinking about the fact you're thinking about it is a good thing. So it's about what moves you're going to make from today onwards. That's what it's all about, because all we got is the now. Past is the past. Yeah.
I love that. Great lessons, my man. Great lessons. So for everyone watching, what's next for Bliss and Esso, for Bliss? Where are you going, bro? What's going on?
We got new music coming out very soon. I'm very excited. I can't tell you the exact date, but I can tell you it's fucking soon. We are filming a video clip for our first song very soon. It's been a minute since we've released some music. Obviously, we're in the middle of this pandemic. We will be back on the road as soon as the freaking venues open, man. It's gonna be a free for all. It's gonna be awesome. Great. So brother, we got new music we've been working on for a long time. Super proud of it. It's the best shit we've ever made by far. It's the most honest. It's the most real. It's telling them it's diving in deep for any Bliss and Esso fans out there that know Jonathan and Max, not just Bliss and Esso. They're gonna get even more insight to who we are as people. A lot of shit, in our story, just being real honest, and it's uplifting, man. Like for me, it's some touching shit. I'm super revved up, so I can't wait to get it out there. I can't wait to tour again. I can't wait to just get on stage. There's so much good stuff happening. A lot of things in the works, brother. It's exciting times. It's great to be alive.
It's powerful, man. It's powerful. Well, look, man, it's an honor to have you here. Keep doing you, man. Keep fighting the good fight, and keep leading the tribe, dude. You're doing amazing stuff out there, and I know everyone got a lot of value from today. So thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Much love, man.
Boom.
Yeah, you
legend.
Oh, hell yeah.
I hope you all enjoyed this epic interview. We've got many more to come. Go over. Give Bliss some love, give John some love, and share, of course. Thanks for joining us, team.
Peace.